Good afternoon, everybody. What is going on? I am Jeff, and this is Dad Riffs. So we're now at step 3 of the winter project. We took apart the telly last week, and now we're going to finally sand it down. So I have just this Bauer orbital sander that I picked up from Harbor Freight for like 20 bucks. It came with 180 grit piece of paper, and I bought 120 because I want to take off just the poly coating. I don't want to take off the sunburst finish. So I'm gonna try to be a little aggressive, but I don't want to go crazy. So I'm gonna use the 80 on the back to test it out. Now, one thing with these, at least these Mexican bodies, because I've did this with my 06 telly project when I tore that apart, poly paint doesn't bond to wood. So underneath the finish, because it's a poly finish with, I believe, poly paint, and underneath that is another clear coat layer that it's kind of like a primer layer, but it's pretty hard. It's almost like a clear coating over the wood. And that's what I believe the paint actually bonds to. So if you've ever seen like a Mexican telly or Strat or really any guitar with a poly finish, you'll get chips, but sometimes you'll get like big sheets and big missing pieces of paint. And that's because the poly paint kind of bonds to itself as opposed to the wood underneath. So a lot of times if something gets underneath, like if you get a chip or a crack and maybe get some moisture under there, it will just kind of separate and you'll get these big sheets that'll come off. So underneath this finish is probably another layer that looks like a solid clear coat, but that's gonna be pretty thick. That's also kind of what gives some of these bodies that thickness, is because there's wood and then it's coated and then it's painted and then it's poly cleared on top of that. So there's actually like 3 coats on top of this. I don't know exactly what that primer layer is, but I do know at least the 2006 Mexican tellies, it was there. I've done a bunch of Strat projects, but I've never refinished a Strat. I've always like done parts of casters and stuff like that. So I've never stripped down a Strat, but I would assume at least in the mid 2000s, they're all gonna be about the same. They all came from Mexico. Well, at least the ones that I always built up came from Mexico. So I'm gonna guess this is probably gonna be similar, but my goal is to not go through the sunburst. So we're gonna start with the back of the guitar and see what that 80 grit does, and then we'll jump down to the 120 if needed. And then eventually I'm gonna probably take I'll go up in steps, and I'll take a couple different grades of sandpaper just to make it a nice smooth but scuffed up finish. So when I clear coat this with the shell pink, it'll hopefully stick to the poly, which I don't think will be an issue. I think the issue is the poly sticking to the wood. I think I'm gonna get nitro from Stu Mac. I'm pretty sure that will stick to anything because the paint that's on my other telly stuck to that bonding agent. I didn't get all the way through that. So let's just get into it and see what happens. There is a distinct smell of polyurethane that I do remember from the last time I did this in the air. And it does not smell very good. It doesn't smell terrible, but it doesn't smell very good. Also, Harbor Freight had the adhesive discs. This has the hook and loop version. So they were selling the wrong discs with the orbital sanders. So I'm gonna have to, when I didn't get anything higher than a 120 now. I know I'm gonna have to take this up in layers. That's why it's white. I can clean it off too, but I need to take it up a couple of notches. But I wanted to get one pack to test them, and I'm glad I did. They're only $5 a piece, but now I know that I need to get ones that have the hook and loop back and not the adhesive. That's why I'm having a little bit of an issue with sanding discs right now. Went a little too heavy. Knew that was going to happen somewhere, but I thought I saw it coming up here by the neck. But I hit the edge a little bit too heavy, so I think we're going to stop there with the top and see if we can stick one on and get the sides done. I'll probably have to do the edge by hand, which I kind of anticipated doing, but I might hit the back up just a little bit more. Feels pretty good, but there's a few uneven spots, but let's keep plugging away. Okay, moment of truth. Let's see how it kind of looks. All right, well, I still see most of the sunburst. Just using water. I was trying to be quick because I don't know how much more sunlight I have today. Okay, well, it looks like I went through the body, or the paint, a couple spots, not terrible. I mean, I wasn't going for a fake relic finish. I would like this to maybe relic with actual wear and play, but what I was going for was to take as much of that top poly coat off as I could, but I was hand sanding in the neck joints because the sander's not going to get in there, and B, wanted to be a little bit more delicate there. This actually came up better than I expected. I might not have to do too much more sanding. I might just get, yeah, it's actually, ooh. Yeah, I probably should, yeah, see, okay, so it is gonna dry and get white again. So I am gonna have to do a little bit of sanding to kind of buff it out, but I mean, you can get an idea of what about it's gonna look like. It's a lot paler. And there was a lot of lacquer on here. Like, it was sticky. It actually made my forearm painful. Like, it hurt my forearm playing this thing because it would just stick to the body real bad. Like, tellies aren't the most comfortable because there's no comfort contours in it, but just how sharp the edges and how thick and sticky the lacquer was, just playing it and having my forearm, it made my forearm hurt pretty bad. So I think already it's going to be much more comfortable to play if I put it back together. But if I'm feeling it, it feels pretty good. Like it's pretty smooth. We're just gonna basically have to buff it out a little bit. We're not gonna do that tonight. We are losing sun, and I only bought 1 pack of 120s. Because yeah, like I wasn't sure if they were gonna work. I wasn't sure how well this was gonna work. I've never sanded down to overspray a finish before. I've always removed, and I just used a heat gun and a spackle knife. So you take a decent sized blade. I would take like maybe a 1.5, 2 inch. I think it was probably 2-inch blade maybe. Yeah, probably about a 2-inch blade. Heat gun. You just gotta be careful that you don't actually catch it on fire because those heat guns do get crazy hot, and you just heat it up. Usually I would start in the back, and how I was saying, you can get that paint like chips and cracks. I would get under it and kind of just crack it, and you would get it off in sheets. But I am actually sweating pretty good right now. So I think I have a few pieces of sandpaper downstairs that's maybe like 400 or 500 grit. So I might get, might try some 500 if I have it, just hand sand it a little bit and see if that does anything. And then go up to like 800 or 1,000 just to knock this back so we get rid of all of this. This is just the scratches. So there's still lacquer here, obviously. We didn't get through all of it all the way because this is what I wanted to avoid. I wanted to avoid going through the actual finish, but you could still feel like it's almost smooth from the paint to this spot where I went through the paint. So there's definitely that bonding agent over the body again. Yeah, so there's actually one little spot where I missed. So a couple spots I could see I missed, but I'll go back, mostly just here in the neck joint. I'll knock them off with this 120, and then probably tomorrow, if I have some time, or this weekend probably, I don't think I'm gonna have much time tomorrow, we got a thing, I will take some 500, because I think that's all I have downstairs. I'd like to take it up to maybe 800. I don't think I'm gonna have to go to 1,000. I don't need it perfect because I'm gonna overspray it. As long as it's smooth and it's a little scuffed up so I can get the paint to bond to it. That's really what I'm looking for here, because hopefully, fingers crossed with playing with wear, I'll actually wear through the shell pink and wear through at least the scuffed up poly to kind of make it shine up just a little bit. So hopefully player wear will help to spruce this up just a little bit. But yeah, okay, so step 3, mostly done. We're gonna go ahead and call step 3 done, and we will check back in with step 4 when it's painting time. So with that, if you like this video or any of my other videos, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Drop a comment down below, tell me how much of a fool I am and that I just ruined this Telecaster. I like to read those. They're amusing to me. Good night.